Pierre-François-Charles Augereau was born on October 21st, 1757, in Paris, into a modest family whose circumstances gave him little indication that he would one day rise to the highest military ranks of France. His father was a former servant and small tradesman, and young Augereau grew up amid the social inequality and restless energy of late 18th century Paris. From an early age, he showed a violent temper, stubborn independence, and a physical toughness that would define his entire life. Unlike many future generals of the French Revolution who were shaped by formal education or ideological training, Augereau was shaped by hardship, street violence, and an instinctive hatred of aristocratic privilege. He was barely educated, rough in manners, and aggressive in speech, but he possessed an iron will and fearless courage that made him a natural soldier. Augereau enlisted in the French army as a teenager, joining the cavalry at a time when discipline was harsh and advancement for commoners was extremely limited. He deserted early in his career, beginning a long pattern of restless wandering across Europe. Over the next decade, Augereau lived the life of a mercenary, fighting for various foreign armies, including the Prussians, Russians, Portuguese, and Neapolitans. This period was crucial in shaping him as a soldier. He learned multiple military systems, adapted to different tactics, and developed a brutal pragmatism toward warfare. Unlike officers trained in academies, Augereau learned war by survival. He fought duels, brawled constantly, and acquired a reputation for reckless bravery and personal ferocity. He was wounded several times and survived by sheer resilience. These years also gave him a deep contempt for military aristocracy and a profound loyalty to soldiers of humble origin. When the French Revolution erupted in 1789, Augereau immediately aligned himself with its most radical ideals. The collapse of the old regime opened the army to men like him, and he returned to France at precisely the right moment. His fiery republicanism, violent hatred of royalists, and talent for inspiring common soldiers made him a natural leader in the revolutionary armies. He rose rapidly through the ranks, becoming a general of brigade and then a general of division by 1793. Unlike many revolutionary generals who were cautious or politically calculating, Augereau was openly brutal toward enemies of the Republic. He crushed royalist uprisings, particularly during the war in the Vendée, where his actions earned him both praise and condemnation. He showed little mercy, believing terror to be a necessary tool to save the revolution. His behavior made him feared by enemies and respected by Jacobins, though even his allies recognized his uncontrollable temperament. Augereau's defining transformation came during the Italian campaigns of 1796 to 1797, where he served under the young General Napoleon Bonaparte. From their first encounters, the two men formed a complex and volatile relationship. Napoleon recognized Augereau's exceptional battlefield courage and ability to drive troops forward under impossible conditions. Augereau, in turn, admired Napoleon's genius but never fully submitted to his authority emotionally. During the Italian campaign, Augereau commanded a division that played a decisive role in several major battles, including Montenotte, Castiglione, Arcole, and Rivoli. At the Battle of Arcole, Augereau famously led a charge across the bridge under heavy Austrian fire, suffering serious wounds but helping secure victory. His actions there cemented his reputation as one of the bravest generals in the French army. Despite his courage, Augereau was also known for insubordination, looting, and violent political rhetoric. He openly supported radical Jacobins and took part in political repression, including the coup of 18 Fructidor in 1797, which purged royalists from the French government. Augereau was sent to Paris by Napoleon himself to assist in this coup, showing that Napoleon trusted him as a political enforcer as much as a military commander. This episode marked Augereau as both a powerful ally and a dangerous liability. He was rewarded with command positions and honors, but his political extremism increasingly clashed with Napoleon's growing authoritarian pragmatism. After the Italian campaign, Augereau's career entered a period of inconsistency. He commanded armies in Germany and Spain, but his effectiveness declined. In Spain, his inability to manage complex operations and his tendency toward cruelty alienated both civilians and subordinates. The Peninsular War demanded discipline, patience, and political sensitivity, qualities Augereau lacked. His earlier brilliance seemed to fade, replaced by stubbornness and exhaustion. Napoleon, now emperor, grew increasingly frustrated with him. Though Augereau was made a Marshal of the Empire in 1804 as part of Napoleon's effort to reward revolutionary veterans, it was clear that his military peak was behind him. During the War of the Fifth Coalition in 1809, Augereau commanded a corps but performed poorly, particularly at the Battle of Wagram, where illness and indecision limited his effectiveness. Napoleon openly criticized him, and their relationship deteriorated. Augereau, once admired for his ferocity, was now seen as unreliable. His health declined, worsened by years of wounds, alcoholism, and exhaustion. He became bitter and resentful, believing he was underappreciated and betrayed by the emperor he had once helped elevate. The final collapse of Augereau's reputation came during the Bourbon Restoration after Napoleon's first abdication in 1814. In a move that shocked many of his former comrades, Augereau openly supported the returning monarchy. He publicly denounced Napoleon, portraying himself as a loyal servant of France rather than the empire. This sudden reversal was widely viewed as opportunistic and cowardly, especially given his revolutionary past and his earlier devotion to republican ideals. When Napoleon returned from exile during the Hundred Days in 1815, Augereau refused to support him. Napoleon reportedly referred to him with contempt, considering him a traitor who had abandoned his principles. After Napoleon's final defeat at Waterloo, Augereau attempted to regain favor under the restored monarchy, but he was mistrusted by both royalists and former revolutionaries. His reputation was irreparably damaged. He was stripped of many honors and lived his remaining years in relative obscurity, plagued by illness, poverty, and regret. The ferocious general, who had once terrified Europe, ended his life marginalized and largely forgotten. Pierre Augereau died on June 12, 1816, at the age of 58. Augereau's legacy is deeply contradictory. He was one of the bravest and most aggressive generals of the French Revolutionary Wars, a man whose courage under fire was unquestionable and whose rise from poverty symbolized the revolutionary promise of merit over birth. At the same time, he was violent, politically extreme, undisciplined, and ultimately unreliable. His life reflects the brutal chaos of the revolution itself, a period that rewarded raw energy and punished those unable to adapt to changing power structures. Unlike Napoleon, who evolved from revolutionary general to imperial ruler, Augereau remained emotionally fixed in the radicalism of his youth. When the world changed around him, he could not change with it. In historical memory, Pierre-François-Charles Augereau stands as a tragic and unsettling figure, a soldier forged by violence who thrived in revolution but collapsed in peace. He was not a strategist, not a statesman, and not a visionary, but he was a warrior in the purest sense, driven by instinct, rage, and loyalty to the men who fought beside him. His story is inseparable from the French Revolution's darkest and most heroic moments, and it serves as a reminder that revolutions often elevate men who are ill-suited to survive their aftermath.